Night and welcome back to another one of my videos. We're here tonight. We're talking about something a little bit different, something I started some years ago. It's one of those yearly projects that happens with the government of Belize alongside the Public Utilities Commission. Every year we hold a Raspberry Pi competition for our secondary school students, and we have over 21 entries into the Raspberry Pi competition. TCC in particular ranked second one year, right? And we took part in the activities last year and did fairly well. So this year we're coming back. We're going to again do the Python along with the students at school. So tonight what I want to do is just to introduce to you the Kana kit that comes packed with the Raspberry Pi 3. Last year we were at 2, so we used the Raspberry Pi 2 for all our projects. This year we did a little bit of upgrade and we're using now the Raspberry Pi 3, and it's the Kana kit that we purchased. It's about 60 US for the kit. So I just want to show you what all is inside the kit and talk about the differences from the last kit we used, which was the Raspberry Pi 2. And so there's a bunch of stuff inside the box, including there's a nice card now that allows you to keep track of the pins that are used. Just to give you a brief description of what the Raspberry Pi is. Raspberry Pi is actually a miniaturized computer system, or a miniaturized computer that can be used to manipulate different pins. So I am able to tell a certain pin when to turn off and when to turn on, and that really is the power of Raspberry Pi. And what runs in it is Raspbian or a Linux program, right? Or a Linux program, as some people would say. What comes inside the box for us again brings now an HDMI card. There are several small resistors that comes with it. So we have resistors. Brings an on and off switch now that you can use, as opposed to just plugging in the power direct, so the power can remain plugged in, and I guess that is probably to save the port from being damaged. There is now an SD card reader and one of the chip reader, which is nice. They normally don't come with these, so that's a little upgrade for the Raspberry Pi 3. There's a bunch of wires that we use when we're doing our projects. A breadboard, right? And I notice now that the breadboard also has a bridge, which means that we can probably split this breadboard in two. There is some heat sinks, right? And the heat sinks, of course, these goes on top of the Raspberry Pi board. The Raspberry Pi 3, and this one brings a 32 gig SD card in it already. And it brings a 32 gig SD card in it because it's a part of the Kana kit. If we had purchased this separate, then we'd have to purchase the card separate also. There is the premium case for the Raspberry Pi. I'm hoping it's a clear case. I haven't checked it yet, but the Raspberry Pi 3 now, from what I know, do come with the clear cases. There is the cable that goes to the breadboard, also found in the Kana kit, and doesn't come when you purchase it separate. And then there is the power supply for the Raspberry Pi itself, right? And some additional female to male wires. And of course they use a manual, some breakdown of circuitry, and some color coding for the resistor, which is very important when installing resistors to the different LEDs or different components that we will use later on. So that's all that is in the box. So just to tell you again, we have some wires found in the box, different types of wire, male to male, male to female wires. There is a nice, and I'll take it out of the bag now, there is a nice on and off switch that comes with the Raspberry Pi now, so I can leave it plugged in and then just press a button to turn it off. There's also some switch, resistors, and LEDs found in a package inside the box itself. There's a chip reader included now, which is a very nice upgrade from the Raspberry Pi 2. The Raspberry Pi itself, let me open this now, which also brings with it a 32 gig chip. So this is your Raspberry Pi. So this is the computer itself, and I'll talk about this in a while. And it also brings a 32 gig chip with it. Beauty. It's a clear case, right? And so it now brings a clear case, and I know there are customized case that you can also purchase online with the Raspberry Pi logo, of course. The last case I had with the Raspberry Pi 2 was an all dark case, so this definitely will look a lot fancier, right? And then of course the power supply. That comes with the Raspberry Pi. And then the ribbon cable, along with its extension, ribbon cable, along with the adapter that goes to the breadboard. Good. So let's get all this out of the way. And I want to talk to you specifically about the Raspberry Pi itself. So as we can see, the Raspberry Pi is a miniaturized computer of its own. We'll get a chance to put on the heat sinks that come with it, and these heat sinks essentially sit over these circuitry here. It brings a HDMI port. It brings a mini USB port for charging, for power. Sorry. It brings the sound port. What looks like a sound port. There's an Ethernet port, and then there's 4 USB ports to it. So it does fulfill most of the task of what a computer is for us, right? We also will let me show you quickly how to put on the heatsink on these. To add the heatsink to the particular Raspberry Pi 3, and heatsinks, they sit here and here, and then they come in various sizes. So these of course bring some adhesive at the bottom already, so there's no need for you to add in any type of adhesive. All you do is peel off the tape that's there. And of course these help in regulating temperature of the device itself, and this sits right here on top, right? On top of the chip. And we do the same thing for the smaller heatsink that comes in the pack. Good. So I have it all set. The next thing we want to do is to get the Raspberry Pi within the case that comes with it. And again, I'm happy that we brought the clear case, right? I always wanted one of these. And so I removed the cover for the clear case. It's properly labeled for where the components go. So there's no way of making a mistake with this. We can pop out the bottom, and the bottom is what houses the Raspberry Pi 3. So I set that by first placing in, it sits right into a gap where the SD card sits, into the gap at the bottom, and rests very securely in there. And then you can place on the body of the case itself. Of course, that just snaps into place, and place on my cover. And we're all good. Our Raspberry Pi is secured in the casing that comes for it now. The next step is we'll connect the power to it, and we'll also get it booted up. There's 2 options available for the operating system for the Raspberry Pi. There's the Raspbian, which the software is available on their website. I'll put a link to that. And there's also a new software called Noobs, and that software is recommended for students But however, I do have people who have fooled around with the Raspberry Pi over the past years, and so I'm going to have the Raspbian installed. That comes preloaded on the SD card, and I'll try to show you guys some of that process. Alright, so like I mentioned, we're getting the Raspbian booted up, which is an alternative to the other operating system called Noobs. This will take a little while, so I'm just showing you the beginning process. When it reaches this screen, I select the Raspbian operating system, and then I click on install, and I get that going. And as soon as this finishes up, you'll see the boot process. Again, it's just a regular operating system. One of the Linux operating system comes with a graphic user interface now, so it makes it very user friendly for people who are not used to Linux. There's a huge gap in between Windows and Linux users. People are normally afraid of using Linux, but again, these are the ones now that comes that you can manage. Remember that Windows is one of those paid software. So I do always support the open source software market, simply because I believe software should be free, right? And the Raspberry Pi gives you that power of installing open source software on it. So when this boot process finishes up, you'll see the desktop interface that comes up under the Raspbian. And of course, in the following videos, or videos following this one, I'll show you guys how to utilize the Raspberry Pi to its full potential. One of the first things we'll do is to get an LED lit up. Alright, so here are some highlights from the last Raspberry Pi Jam we attended. Hope you enjoy.
The PUC introduced the Raspberry Pi device as a part of its Young Innovators program. In August 2015, high school IT teachers from across Belize were shown how to use the device. They then took this knowledge to the classroom and showed their students how to do the same. The schools were responsible for thinking of, designing, and implementing projects that allowed their students to express their creativity and resourcefulness. After 10 months of work, the school showed off their accomplishments at Belize's first Raspberry Pi Jam.
My name is Michael Sabido and I come from the Corozal Community College. Well, we basically prepared an automatic control system and an irrigation system. The automatic control system is basically a system that you can control your lights, your houses, you can control any device that's connected to it using a web app. The irrigation system, you can water a type of plant or any type of crop that you have, it's basically more for farmers, for agricultural purposes.
My name is Mary Cruz and I come from High School of Sarteneja. Well, the project is about a robot that's basically like a car, and you need to handle it with a tablet for it as the remote. And we have to give the commands on the computer for it to be able to move.
Alright, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit the subscribe button down below. If you like this video, leave a thumb up for us. And remember to hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we push out new videos like these. I will be doing a series on the Raspberry Pi itself, seeing that it is for us in Belize the Raspberry Pi season. Right? And I do want that my students and everybody else, of course, to learn something about the Raspberry Pi. And of course be able to control these and find more uses for it. There are many uses, as you can see from the previous video that I showed just now, covering the Raspberry Pi Jam, and of course we have people from all over Belize who partake in this competition. In the meantime, guys, I'm out. Go geek yourself.